I'm going to get you out of here alive.
What I didn't see coming was the emotional depth.
That is what the movie's about to me. The most brazen thing about the film is the special moments between characters.
It's just suicide.
Well, that's kind of our thing.
I don't want to do your dirty work no more.
Here we have live footage of Asanimade's life on a day-to-day basis for the past 8 months of not releasing any videos because he has no motivation to.
He was 12 years old, fell from the roof on East 29. Kathy was 11 when she pulled the plug, 26 reds and a bottle of wine. Bobby got leukemia, 14 years old, he looked like 65 when he died. He was a friend of mine. Those are people who died. Those are people who died.
No, but for real though, I've been meaning to make a video for a very long time. You know, a few of them just sprinkled across the year of 2021, you know, enough to keep my channel from not dying. I've tried so hard making some videos on certain movies, but never felt connected to these videos, you know? I never felt like the need to release these videos. I was not enjoying what I was talking about, and to be completely honest, I was in desperate need for that thing, that movie, some sort of art that I can pour all my love for into a video. But for the past 8 months, I got nothing. Which is why I think I needed James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, not only because it was the art that drove me to make videos again, but it was the art that I needed to push my creativity again. A project filled with pure passion that is so abundantly clear from watching this film projected into the eyes of the viewers who also feels that same passion and gains that desire to put passion into their projects. This was something I was not expecting to get out of The Suicide Squad. I thought this would be nothing but dumb, mindless fun judging from the trailers, but I was so wrong. Instead, what I got was a love letter. A film crafted from love for these characters, these stories, love for comic book movies. So yeah, now that that's done, let's get into why I think The Suicide Squad is top tier comic book media. Let's talk about why I think The Suicide Squad is...
I do not mind the rain sometimes, 'cause that's the only way.
I'm going to be going over 3 points in this video, reasons as to why I adore The Suicide Squad and think it's genuinely one of my favourite comic book movies to ever come out. The reason why The Suicide Squad is an incredible comic book movie is because of the story, style, and heart. Now, every comic book movie ever made can check these boxes. They can all have these 3 aspects, but I think the reason The Suicide Squad stands out is because it does these core factors in such a completely different new way. It genuinely redefines the comic book movie genre and tells its story in such a unique way which we've never seen before. So let's get into the first factor and why I think The Suicide Squad is a perfect comic book movie: the story. Stories, right? Especially for big blockbuster comic book movies. I have no idea how many times I've said comic book movies in this video, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a lot. But yeah, they're usually pretty convoluted. Filmmakers think big every time, outstepping all the other comic book movies that came before, telling stories that are larger than life. Usually having huge action spectacles in these movies and putting everything into making sure the story was as big, if not bigger than the last installment, which leaves a lot less room for other aspects that go into making a film, such as characters, growth, heart, or just something as simple as reminding the viewers that these characters are humans, they're people, they're one of us. Which is why I can really appreciate the story in The Suicide Squad, because my god, the film is packed as hell with action and huge spectacle, explosions, comedy. Like at the end of the movie, Team 2 has to fight a giant alien starfish who came to conquer the city as theirs. A comic book movie does not get bigger than that. But Weirdly, with the Suicide Squad, the story is relatively simple. The Suicide Squad, they're on a mission to destroy a building holding files that can damage the US government, and yeah, that's about it. That's basically the story of the movie. I mean, obviously there's more to that. There's the Harley subplot, there's locations that the team needs to go in order to gain information, but mainly, the story is relatively simple, which is why I think the movie works so well, is because it makes the story as simple as possible, which allows time for characters to grow, to know each other, allows digestion for the viewers, whilst at the same time keeping a consistent pace that feels, you know, snappy. The movie doesn't waste your time with unnecessary exposition or scenes. It shows you what you need to know and lets the story and characters progress from there. But this film is always moving, you know, there's a rhythm to it, which I think a lot of comic book movies just don't have. And this is all thanks to the horribly beautiful mind of James Gunn. His work on the script and this movie was just everything the DCEU needed right now. This film feels fresh, something that will stick with you for a very, very long time and will remain as iconic. And that is due to the story as well as our second point, style. I think what James Gunn crafted here was not only one of the best stories told by a comic book movie, but was also one of the most stylish and creative. This is hands down James's best movie to date creatively. Everything on the direction side of the movie was perfect, from the insane camera movements to the creative ways to put text on screen to even the music choices. This film feels different because of its direction. The shot of Peacemaker's helmet where we spin around it only looking at the reflection of two people we've gotten connected to fight to the death was just an insanely different way to pull off a scene like this and adds so much. He did not need to go this hard with that scene. You know, it's little things like this that we have to appreciate. Even the opening credits were handled in such a unique way. I adored the handheld fast movements circling through the death beach to show every member that has died. It just makes up for such an insanely stylish, creative opening scene. Harley Quinn's fight sequence was not only one of the best fights in the entire DCEU, but was also one of the most creative fights out of any comic book movie. I adored the way Harley views the blood of her victims as flowers, leaving this visually stunning sequence that leaves you in awe. You know, it's not every day you get a comic book movie like this. I mean, we've never had a comic book movie like this. Now we gotta move on to the visuals because, oh my god, this movie is stunning. I think this genuinely has some of the best color grading from any comic book movie. I just adore the blue hues that give such a nice color contrast to every shot. I love the deep black levels that make every color pop, and just in general, I love how rich everything looks, how much power every shot holds. But yeah, you can make the film incredibly stylish, you can have the world's greatest story, but there's one crucial thing the Suicide Squad needs to nail in order to sell this movie. And of course, I'm talking about characters. To me, I think the main focus of the Suicide Squad were its characters, the main 7. Harley, Bloodsport, Peacemaker, Ratcatcher 2, Polka Dot Man, King Shark, and Rick Flag are all handled with such depth and character. But the main characters that stood out to me as the core of this movie were Ratcatcher 2 and Bloodsport, who also tie into the key point of the movie, the message, the takeaway, what I thought this movie was trying to say. Bloodsport is a criminal who was trained by his father to become an assassin. He does bad things which sets an influence on his daughter, whom he also doesn't have the best relationship with. Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! They both constantly fight and he doesn't want her near him.
When you and I both know I have nothing good to offer you.
He has nothing good to offer her. No purpose. Then comes along Ratcatcher 2, who was raised by her father to learn how to communicate with rats. But they also had such a great relationship until he, tragically died due to a drug intake. But going back to her and Bloodsport, her rats sensed good in Bloodsport and she eventually opened up to him. He opened up to her. And both shared this incredibly emotional punching scene on the bus. She reminds him of his daughter, something willing to fight for, willing to protect.
I'm gonna get you out of here alive.
I'm going to get you out of here alive.
So during the end of this film, they both knew something needed to be done. Starro needed to be stopped, lives needed to be saved. But Bloodsport wouldn't have made the decision to go ahead and save the whole city without Ratcatcher, without the whole Suicide Squad. Risking their heads being blown off, even though they've already completed the mission, just so they can save lives, is something Bloodsport would not be willing to take. But he does. This is because they've all bonded, all changed. They're all willing to die through love.
If I die because I gambled on love, it will be a worthy death. Friends.
There we have Ratcatcher 2 and Bloodsport alone on the battlefield, protecting each other with all their heart. But what does Ratcatcher 2 do in order to save the city? To save Bloodsport, she uses the rats. A whole army of them to stop Starro. Rats that cover Bloodsport as a sign of acceptance and protection. Ratcatcher 2 has saved the day. Then we get this beautiful flashback sequence which perfectly wraps up what this movie has been trying to say. If they have purpose, so do we all. You see, going back to that bus scene, Bloodsport is asked a simple question.
Why are you so afraid of rats?
Why are you so afraid of rats? Why are you so afraid of purpose? His whole life he's had nothing good to offer. He's terrified of the idea of purpose. But the rats sensed good in him. They sensed purpose in him. When the whole team completed the mission, Bloodsport could have easily continued with Amanda's orders but chooses not to because his purpose has been fulfilled. His purpose to do good. He made Ratcatcher 2 proud, but not only that, he made his daughter proud. The broken part of his life is starting to be healed because now he does have something good to offer to save the world. The last shot of James Gunn's The Suicide Squad is not a huge action aftermath set piece. It's not the most visually stunning or biggest shot in the movie. Instead, the last shot is just a simple shot of Bloodsport petting a rat, feeling at comfort with it. He's getting over his fear of rats and being able to fully accept them, being able to fully accept purpose.
Why rats, Papa?
Rats are the lowliest and most despised of all creatures, my love. They have purpose. So do we all.